Welcome back. The Inkatha Freedom Party's Youth Brigade has today launched its private members and the Employment Services Amendment Bills in Gauteng. The aim is to tackle the country's rising unemployment rate, which crossed the 35% mark at the end of last year. Almost 2 in every 3 young people in this country are without work. Let's talk about this with IFP President Velenkosini Hlabisa, who's with us in studio tonight. A very warm welcome to Newzroom Afrika, and thank you so much for coming in on this Sunday. What ultimately is the objective? What is it that you want to achieve ultimately with this bill?
Good evening, Tembegile, as well as the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. But firstly, Tembegile, before I respond to your question, let on behalf of the IFP convey our heartfelt condolences to the family of our icon in music, Deborah Fraser. This is a heavy loss. We wish her soul to rest in peace, and we express our sympathy to all those involved in the music industry. Today, the IFP was on its second leg following what we did on the 1st of May, where we launched the IFP's private members bill that we have introduced in the National Assembly in Cape Town. The purpose of this bill, one, is to regulate the foreign nationals in South Africa. And secondly, every employer in South Africa must be compelled, when he or she wants to employ a foreign national, the employer must prove that there is no South African who can do this particular job. As you know, unemployment is very high in our country. There are easy jobs, jobs that does not need a skill or that need a semi-skill. Talk about jobs in the restaurants, in the hotels, in the construction industry, trucks driving, Uber driving. This does not need a specialized skill. We have many people in South Africa who can do these jobs, but because of some of the employers who wants to use the cheap labor, they concentrate on the foreign nationals at the expense of the South Africans. We want South Africans to be made a priority in every job opportunity that exists in our country.
Is the issue, though, in South Africa when it comes to employment and the employment of foreign nationals versus South Africans, especially in the unskilled categories of work, is it a legislation issue, or is it just an issue of current laws not being implemented? Because we've got a lot of law in South Africa, but very often the challenge lies into people who are supposed to be inspecting the business premises actually showing up, checking documentation.
You see, Tembegile, the bigger problem, we do not have a law that regulates the employment of the foreign nationals. You can have a law which says people must do inspection, but specifically on the issue of foreign nationals, there is no law doing that. That is why the IFP is introducing this private members bill. And should South Africa listen to Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in 2004, when he tabled the immigration bill, we will not be where we are today with so many foreign nationals which are not accounted for, because you will be my witness. You are here in Gauteng. In Gauteng, sometimes hospitals and clinics, they run out of the medication simply because what the government budget for is consumed by the number that is not known to the government of Gauteng, which is foreign nationals, and this problem is throughout the country. That is why we are saying the government must confront this problem. Like in all other countries in the world, you cannot have a national foreigner who is not known in that particular country, the whereabouts, where he or she stays, and it is only in South Africa. You can go to nearby countries in Africa and abroad. When you arrive in that particular country, they know when you have to go back into a foreign country. Even on a skilled job, the specialized one, the IFP is saying there must be a transfer of skills, even on specialized jobs When a foreign national is employed as an engineer in the mines, he must be employed for a fixed period. During that fixed period of 4 years or 5 years, one condition is that you must transfer skills to this South African. After 5 years, we will ask you to go back to your country and let the people of South Africa be in charge of the economy of our country.
On that note, there was this year the published update by government of the critical skills jobs, shall we say, designations, where a lot of it had to do with the finance sectors, science, and engineering, which you've just referenced. How helpful is that list? Because it hadn't been updated since 2014. Now that you've got an update, how helpful is that in light of what you are trying to achieve?
Firstly, what we want to achieve, the bigger bulk of the unemployed people in South Africa is on unskilled job and semi-skilled job. This private members bill want to concentrate in that area as a first priority, where we say put South Africans first. That is the first area. The second area, on a specialized skills that requires a special qualification. Exactly what the IFP is saying, there must be a condition that whoever who is a foreign national, whether from Africa or from abroad, when you are employed in a specialized skill, there must be a fixed period. How long are you going to be there? And under you, when you are employed, there must be people to whom you must transfer the skills, and that is not what is happening as we speak.
And that you mentioned foreign nationals who are from other African countries in the country versus, let's say, people from Europe, Asia, and the rest of the world who are also in South Africa, because often when the conversation of immigration in South Africa comes up, activists will say the criticism unfairly targets poorer African migrants or foreign nationals in the African category, but there isn't as much a focus on Europeans and everyone else. How do we even that out?
But you see, Tembegile, the truth is, a foreign national from overseas will get through in our country through the airport. And everyone who gets through the airport is known who is the person and where is going to that person be. The problem with the neighboring countries, the African foreign national from the neighboring countries, our borders are porous. They are open. A person gets in and gets out without the knowledge of the government. That is why, specifically, if we can zoom in Gauteng, you can even go to any other province. If you can ask the South African government how many foreign nationals from our nearby African states in South Africa, they will not tell you the answer.
But can we then, Mr. Hlabisa, pardon me, can we manage the employment aspect when the border issue, for example, which you raise, has still not been resolved? Because then you'd still be in a situation where the country doesn't really know how many people are in the country illegally, for example.
Exactly. You know what, today in our engagement with the people of Gauteng, they said fair enough. The private members bill in terms of employment, we support it, but visit again the immigration bill that was proposed by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in 2004, because that one deals specifically with the issue of open borders, the introduction of sufficient monitors who will also ensure that they go around in our areas to establish and confirm who is living where. And the IFP is going to take up the issue of the immigration bill as originally was presented by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in 2004, because our country would not be where it is today should the ANC government listen. But other people sometimes they learn once they have seen problems. We are confident that political parties in South Africa who love the people of South Africa and take them as a first priority. One, they will support the private members bill. And secondly, the issue of porous borders. You know, I do not want to say all foreign nationals are involved in crime. I'm not saying that. But if you can go to the courts here in Gauteng, the majority of criminal cases, you will confirm that the majority as of now is foreign national.
It
so
would be an interesting thing.
With that one.
It would be an interesting thing to actually have perhaps a statistical breakdown, which we don't have at the moment, before us. But let's talk about, you mentioned confidence. bills, as you know, many are brought before Parliament, not all are passed. Yes. How confident are you that this one will actually ever become law?
Every political party in South Africa consciously agrees that what happens in South Africa on the issue of porous borders, unaccounted foreign nationals within the country is a problem. You know, when a government makes a budget at a national level, you budget on the basis of the population that you know. South Africa does not know its real population because the foreign nationals are not accounted for. So now anyone who really understands the unemployment problem in our country, the economy that is going down simply because there are people who are benefiting from government services and these people are not known, and until there is an accountability, until a person who is within South Africa is coming to make a contribution in our economy, our country will experience the current problem of the economy that is very weak. We are surviving on a loan. To survive on a daily basis, we must service a loan as a country. We are moving towards a failed state. A true South African will support this bill because it is not xenophobic, but South Africans must be given the first priority.
As we conclude then, Mr. Hlabisa, let me ask you this. Am I right to assume that this bill and it becoming law is going to be the IFP's main priority as we get into the 2024 election race? Is this going to be your election ticket?
Anyway, Thembekile, we have been raising critical issues for many years in the past.
But is this one going to be your 2024 campaign message, the main issue? Because it is an issue that many people are talking about now. You're seeing the birth of the likes of Operation Tudula and other movements.
We believe by 2024 this law must have been passed. And we will not play in the gallery in terms of this law because we are interested to the people of South Africa. But should this law meet resistance from other corners in our country, it will be at the best interest of the people of South Africa that when they decide who governs them in 2024, they must take into account which political party puts them first with no shy, as to say South Africans must be the first beneficiaries of any job opportunity and any government level, and if need be, it will become part of our manifesto that if you vote us, you vote a solution to the foreign nationals. I want to conclude again by saying we are not xenophobic, but we are not afraid to say South Africans should come first.
You're not saying ban the employment of foreign nationals altogether?
No, we're not saying so. We're not saying so. On critical skills, employ them, but they must be placed under a condition of skills transfer. Once skills have been transferred, they must go back to their foreign countries like in all other countries in the world.
Mr. Velenkosini Hlabisa, leader of the IFP, good to have your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thembekile.